What is going on, everybody? My name is Kneeckoh, and welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet VGC Moveset Guide video. Today, we are going to be talking about KOMMO-O. And I mentioned a while ago when I talked about Pokemon that were coming back and would be good, that I thought KOMMO-O was going to have the spice, because it does have that awkward typing of a dragon fighting type, making it, a meal for Fluttermane. However, this Pokemon with Terrestrialization can get away from that weakness and absolutely dominate, and we saw that at Sacramento. I just made a video talking about it. KOMMO-O and Tyranitar won Sacramento Regionals, so definitely worth checking out that video. But we're going to talk about how to use KOMMO-O and why this Pokemon is so good. So if this is your first time here on the channel, make sure you are subbed for more videos like this in the future. Let's get into it. So KOMMO-O, like I said, awkward typing, fighting, and dragon, makes it a meal for any sort of fairy types at all. So like, there's Ninetales, there's Fluttermane, there's anything that uses Play Rough. There's a lot of fairies that could just potentially rock this Pokemon's world, right? However, we have access to Terra. Terra allows you to Terra Steel and get away from that weakness and hit back really hard. Just a really solid Pokemon all around right now, especially because of Clangorous Soul. This is the big thing that everybody is loving on this Pokemon. So Clangorous Soul is basically a mini Dondozo buff, right? You lose 33% of your max HP and you get +1 to all stats for this particular Pokemon, allowing you to set up and just start eating. And I absolutely love how this Pokemon plays. Now, its abilities are actually pretty good as well. You have Overcoat, which makes you immune to like Sandstorm or like Spores, things like that. Basically makes you immune to Amoonguss, which is really nice. We're not seeing as much Amoonguss play, but it does give you that little bit of advantage. But it also has access to Bulletproof, which is really cool. And there is a common misconception with this. I just want to say this right now. Common misconception is that you are immune to Moonblast. That is not the case. So as far as facing a Fluttermane goes with Bulletproof, you are only immune to Shadow Ball. You're only immune to Ball or Bomb moves in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet with Bulletproof. So Moonblast will still hit you. However, if you are Terra Steel, that doesn't matter that much. And you're basically shutting down Fluttermane's ability to hit you with a neutral attack in the form of Shadow Ball if you are running Bulletproof, which basically shuts down Fluttermane against this particular Pokemon and is really, really solid. So I definitely really like how this Pokemon can play into Fluttermane, a Pokemon that would normally demolish it if it wasn't a Terra meta, and it is able to just kind of handle it. So this is one that I featured on the channel the other day. This one is Clangorous Soul with Flash Cannon, Vacuum Wave, and Clanging Scales. Basically, you set up Clangorous Soul and you just start hitting stuff really hard with your special attacks. Now, this Pokemon can go either way. If you look at its attack and its special attack, there's only a 10-point difference between the two. So it can go either way depending on the Pokemon that you're running on your team and the attack stabs that you need to cover your weaknesses. This Pokemon has a lot of options. So this one is Terra Steel with the Overcoat ability, Leftovers with Clangorous Soul, Flash Cannon, Vacuum Wave, and Clanging Scales. Does a lot of damage, and it's just super, super fun to play. Lefties is just there to kind of give you that HP back at the end of the turn and get some regeneration. You could replace this with a Citrus Berry and get away just fine. This is just a random spread that I made. It's on all of these, so don't take it to heart. And if people constantly are commenting on my videos, it's like, oh, the spread's kind of weird. It doesn't like... it's just kind of there. I don't calc my spreads for a lot of my teams. All right, if I'm making a team for a YouTube video or making it just for this, that, or the other, I'm not calcing. The only time I calc is if I'm partaking in an actual tournament or if I'm doing the raid bosses, right? That's the only time that I calc, because otherwise I'm just playing on the ladder for fun. I don't really care that much, right? Anyways, KOMMO-O can also be a disgusting normal type Pokemon, right? You have Terra Normal with Boom Burst, and that is absolutely crazy. Now, these moves are questionable. Flash Cannon and Vacuum Wave, you could get rid of those two moves and swap them for something else potentially. Maybe get rid of Vacuum Wave and throw like Protect or something on there. Could be a really fun option. You could also just throw you need to hit Fluttermane, so yeah, probably leave Flash Cannon on there. So this is a really solid option for this particular Pokemon as well. Being able to hit a bunch of stuff with Boom Burst is just absolutely crazy. Clangorous Soul will proc your Throat Spray, and then Boom Burst can eat. Really, really strong option for this particular Pokemon. I don't think it's as viable as just running Clangorous Soul with like a regen item. But Throat Spray is a valid option. You could even drop the Throat Spray on this and run like Lefties or Citrus Berry or something to that effect. just to get that health back. So really, really powerful option for this particular Pokemon. The final one is what we saw at Sacramento Regionals, and this is a really fun set for this particular Pokemon. We have Body Press. I don't know the third move, so I just threw Iron Head on here because I just assumed you would need something to cover Flutter Mane. But you have Body Press, Iron Head, Iron Defense, and Protect. This is super solid on this Pokemon because, again, you have a really good typing in the form of dragon. You're able to resist a lot of attacks just by being a dragon type, but you run bulletproof here. Again, if you see a Flutter Mane, you Terra Steel and you get in front of it, and it can't hit you very hard with its Moonblast or its Dazzling Gleams, and it can't hit you with Shadow Ball, putting you in a very powerful position to just kind of set up your iron defenses and just start running through stuff. I have lefties on this. This is what was run during the tournament as well. Really strong, really fun way to play this Pokemon, especially when you consider the fact that it does have 125 base defense. Really, really cool. Really strong, really powerful. Just absolutely can demolish a Pokemon on the other side of the field. And it's obviously very good. It won a regional championship at Sacramento. Really, really cool addition to this particular Pokemon. So let's talk about stuff that this likes to be paired with, right? First and foremost, let's talk about Sinistra. This is like the end-all be-all as far as a teammate goes for this particular Pokemon if you're running the Clangorous Soul, right? Because of Hospitality, you're able to rotate in Sinistra and regen that health that you've lost from Clangorous Soul, allowing this Pokemon to get health back and be able to take more hits and just kind of run the show. And you could just keep cycling this, maybe run a Lando on the team as well and cycle Sinistra Lando to get Intimidates off while also regenning your Pokemon. Can be really, really solid. So again, like something like Lando or Harkonine can be really good for this particular Pokemon. So really solid in that regard. Another Pokemon that is seeing some use that is pretty nice with this is Clefairy. Clefairy with the Eviolite item is really, really solid. You also have Friend Guard. Really solid as a partner because you can also run Heal Pulse. So you use Clangorous Soul, you also use Heal Pulse that turn, and you just regen all the health. Very solid duo for KOMMO-O. Clefairy is actually seeing a lot of use also with like Snorlax and things of that nature. So it's a really solid Pokemon for having that support nature because you're able to just kind of get out in front of stuff and shut them down. So really cool. Really like this Pokemon as a partner for KOMMO-O. So yeah, that's kind of your main shtick, is you're just trying to get out there and you're trying to get it set up with Clangorous Soul, and you're able to do a lot of damage. Now, there are some Pokemon that cause problems. Again, depending on the ability that you're running, Flutter Mane can be a problem. Bulletproof is really solid. This set is really solid into Flutter Mane. All of these can play into Flutter Mane fairly effectively. Because after Clangorous Soul, with this speed, if you hit 143, you're not only outspeeding Flutter Mane, but you're also outspeeding Dragapult, which is really, really nice for this particular Pokemon. So outspeeding Dragapult's pretty big. Especially because there are occasionally still some Dragapults running around. It's the fastest Pokemon in the format without booster energy. So definitely something to consider. This is usually like my go-to for like speed tiers if I'm running like a Tailwind or something. I try to hit like 143 just to guarantee an outspeed on Dragapult. And that pretty much guarantees I outspeed everything with the exception of like a booster energy, flutter, or bundle, right? So just a good mental note to make. But yeah, KOMMO-O into Flutter Mane can be a bit scary just depending on how you're playing around it, but with that Terra Steel, you're able to handle it pretty effectively. Other Pokemon, Drain Punch, Iron Hands can be a problem, or just Iron Hands in general, because you're able to fake out KOMMO-O and not allow it to set up its Clangorous Soul, allowing other Pokemon to kind of deal a bunch of damage before it actually sacrifices that 33%. So that's a problem for it in that regard, and Rillaboom can be a similar problem just because of that fake out potential. Just shutting that down is a bit tricky. Something you actually haven't seen a ton of is something like taunt users. So like Tornadus with taunt can actually be a problem for KOMMO-O because you're able to just shut down either Iron Defense or Clangorous Soul, which could be a big problem because this Pokemon's really centered around just setting up and going in. So it can be a very big problem just like stopping its setup altogether. So that is something to keep an eye on as well. Alola Ninetales is a pain, mainly because Alola Ninetales, despite, you know, typically being built more like speedy and like with some health in order to like get Aura Veil up, it does hit you really hard with Moonblast. So you do have to kind of be careful about Alolan Ninetales around. If you don't Terra in front of this, it may just hit you with a Moonblast or even hit you with like a Blizzard or something and put you in a really, really bad position with KOMMO-O. So you kind of have to commit your Terra in this regard to deal with this particular Pokemon, which is very, very scary. Because, like, Alolan Ninetales does not have bad special attack. It's a decent special attack, and it has super effective attacks into your normal typing, so you need to be very cautious. Pokemon that you play well into, pretty much any dragon type is going to have some difficulty with you. Dragons are not going to be able to deal with it very effectively just because of you tearing and then outspeeding and doing a bunch of damage. So dragon types do cause problems. Looking again at Dragapult is another one. Not Dragonair, Dragapult is what we're looking for. Dragapult, no, I can't. Okay, there it is. Dragapult's another one. Again, it's still popping up. It's still really good because it is so freaking fast naturally. Being able to just outspeed everything without Tailwind is just so incredibly nice on this Pokemon. So it is a very, very good candidate for running like choice band options and just hitting stuff hard. So it does still pop up. It's not as popular as it was in like Reg C or even Reg D, but it is still a very good Pokemon that you're going to see pop up a fair bit. Fluttermane, again, it just depends on how you're playing around it, but Fluttermane can be dealt with very effectively by a KOMMO-O because of your Terra and your ability to hit it very hard. So very solid option into Fluttermanes because if you save your Terra, it just has a very difficult time dealing with KOMMO-O. So definitely something to note in that regard as well. Other stuff. Chien-Pao actually has some issues with this particular Pokemon. Granted, it can run Sacred Sword, it can run Ice Spinner to deal with you, but if you're running maybe a Drain Punch variant or a Vacuum Wave variant, and you have, you already have Clanger Soul up, you're going to hit Chien-Pao so freaking hard, and it's going to have a really difficult time dealing with you. So definitely a Pokemon that you could play very effectively into as well. So all in all, I think KOMMO-O is a fantastic addition to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. It is just such a good Pokemon, such a fun Pokemon. As with Terra, it's just an absolute menace to society, and it's a Pokemon I think we're going to see climb in usage because it is just so freaking good. And we're honestly seeing a decline in Fluttermane, so I think that's even more of a reason to start bringing these Pokemon that typically would be weak to Fluttermane. We're seeing a decline in Fluttermane usage, which makes these Pokemon like KOMMO-O, like Tyranitar, a lot of those Pokemon that just don't like taking hits from Fluttermane are just becoming more and more popular because of its decline. So I really think that's a solid for a lot of Pokemon that weren't previously viable because of the nuisance that is Fluttermane. And I'm really excited to see what the meta develops into as we get further into Reg E. But that is going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. And if you did, leave a like and sub for daily competitive Pokemon content from me in the future. Also, be sure to check out the Discord. People over there hanging out, playing Pokemon all the freaking time. And if you want to see anything else from me, check out any of the videos that you see here on screen. But until next time, peace.